Okay, welcome back to part 2, constructions. This is Mr. Hazard. I am going to review some of the constructions that we learned in class. In the first video, we went over copying a line segment, bisecting a line segment, and also creating the perpendicular bisector of that line segment, copying an angle, and bisecting an angle. So now I'm going to focus on creating 3 different angles: a 45-degree angle, a 60-degree angle, and a 30-degree angle. So let's start with the 45-degree angle. Since we left off at number 4, I'm going to start at number 5. I'm going to call it construct a 45-degree angle. Okay? So, much like when we perpendicular or created a perpendicular bisector, I'm going to start with just drawing a straight line. And I'm going to put 2 points on that line. I'm going to call it M and N. Okay, so we're going to repeat some of the steps we did in the first 4 constructions, and we're also going to use our knowledge of geometry to figure out how to create a 45-degree angle. The first step, I'm going to create that 90-degree angle again. When we bisected that line segment, we also created the perpendicular bisector, so I created a 90. So I'm going to start with just repeating those steps and creating a 90-degree angle. So again, I'm going to pick a distance, maybe a little bit more than halfway with the compass. See the pointy part and the lead. Okay, I'm going to put the pointy part on point M, make my arc, and repeat. Now this time I'm going to put the pointy part on N, make my arc, and woo. And you see you have to make the arcs long enough so that they intersect. So you don't need to make a full circle, but you might want to make like almost a half circle, maybe a little less. Now again, we're going to have 2 points of intersection. I'll just highlight those here. And I'm going to use my straight edge to draw a line through the points of intersection. I know that that's 90 degrees. So the trick here now is to ask yourself, what's half of 90 degrees? Well, half of 90 degrees is 45 degrees, and that means we can bisect this 90-degree angle. That means cut it in half, like we did in our 4th construction, and create a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to break out my trusty compass here. I'm going to pick a distance just so I can make my first arc, and sometimes the bigger the arc, in this case, the better. Obviously, you don't want to make it so big you go off the page, but I'm going to go almost to the end of the line. And I'm going to put now since we're bisecting this 90-degree angle, this is going to be my vertex right there. That's where I'm going to put the pointy part. And I'm going to draw my arc so it intersects these 2 lines. Now, if you ignore this N, I'm going to go ahead and erase it so it doesn't confuse anybody, because it doesn't mean anything, except that I used it to create this perpendicular line. But now if we look at this distance and that distance, they're the same. Okay? So I'm going to bisect the distance between this intersection and this intersection. So much like I did here, I'm going to pick a point that looks like maybe a little more than halfway, and I'm going to draw a couple of arcs. First, I'm going to start at this point of intersection, that I'm going to start at this point of intersection. So again, we started here and here, and we drew this arc and this arc, and then we established these new points of intersection. And if I've done it correctly, I should be able to take my straight edge and draw a line that goes through those and the vertex. And now this 90-degree angle now has been bisected, which means that the measure of this angle is 45 degrees. Okay? Let's move on to 60-degree angle and also 30-degree angles. So that would be construction number 6. And that's construct a 60-degree angle. Well, if you were in class, I had a problem where we started to look at a situation where there were 3 cats. We knew where cat A was sitting and cat B was sitting, but we didn't know where the third cat, cat C, could sit. But we knew that the third cat wanted to be as far away from each of them as possible. I should say the same distance from them that they were from each other. Okay, so again, we used our compass, and in this case we measured the distance. Now you saw I just drew those 2 dots, and that's how you would start. You would just draw, say, 2 dots, and I'm going to draw a line through them. Now I'm going to put my pointy part on one of the dots, and I'll show you. I'm going to make a really big arc on this one because I'm going to show you how to make 2 angles here. So here's what you should think about. Right now I've got the distance in this compass equal to this AB. So all I'm doing is every point on here is equal distant from point A. I'm sorry, back up. Every point on this arc is the same distance as the distance between A and B. So the distance from A to this point is the same distance between A and B. The distance to this point is the same distance between A and B. So essentially what we're trying to do is look at all the range of possibilities and find when that distance is going to match. So the point at which they intersect means that point C is the same distance from point A as is point B, and the same distance that B is from A. So if I were to draw some lines in here, it might make it more clear. What we've effectively done is made an equilateral triangle. And we know from geometric properties that all the angles in in an equilateral triangle are congruent. And as a result, they're 60 degrees. So we've just constructed a 60-degree angle. Now, the reason I had you draw these arcs really big is because we also did this allows us to do something else. If I connect these 2 points of intersection like we did up here, similar, okay? But the difference is that these points of intersection here are the same distance here. Here they are not. So I've seen people make a mistake where they try to do something like this and they think it's 60. It's not 60 unless your radius is this distance right here. That's not how we did this one. So make sure you understand the distinction. So getting back to here, we've got 2 points of intersection. So if I drew a line, and this is starting to look a little off because I was not that careful where I drew the line, but I won't hold that against you on a test. But what we've effectively done is we've cut this angle in half. So that is 30 degrees. Because this line is also a perpendicular bisector, which means that this is 90, this is 90, so these have to be 30. So there's a way to make both a 60-degree angle and a 30-degree angle. And if you can do all of those on a test, demonstrate, then you will get at least a passing grade in geometry. Just remember, I want to see all of these arcs. Okay? So please feel free to ask me any additional questions. I'd encourage you to pause this and rewind as necessary. I know that you love to hear my voice, and I wish you the best of luck, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.